Most graphics cards lose value with age, but this card right here is actually aging like a fine wine.
2 years ago, these Intel Arc GPUs released, and specifically the A750 released at a higher price point and loaded with a ton of issues, but today they're really awesome GPUs at $199, and it makes me wonder, why aren't people talking about this GPU more? We're about to benchmark it and find out after a word from today's sponsor. Attention PC builders, do you want to save money on your Windows activation? Well, today's video sponsor, GVG Mall, has you covered, an awesome online marketplace with game keys and also Windows licenses.
It's awesome how easy it is to activate Windows. You literally just buy a key on GVG Mall using code TB20 to get a really good discount, and from there, you literally copy and paste the key into Windows, and boom, you now have an activated version of Windows.
You can get Windows 10, Windows 11, and a bunch of other different keys at GVG Mall, and be sure to use code TB20 on checkout to save money on a Windows 10, Windows 11, or any other key from GVG Mall. Big thanks again to GVG Mall for sponsoring today's video. Now, let's get into it, shall we?
So this Arc A750 is an awesome GPU, especially nowadays, because Intel's big thing has been, since we released these graphics cards, we're constantly improving drivers, meaning your game that may have not ran very well on these cards when they came out may run really good now, which we're starting to see with a lot of games. And the fact that this card is under $200 now, we're talking new. You don't have to go on the used market to buy these. You're getting the brand new with a warranty from somewhere like Amazon or Newegg. And on top of that, they go good in a pretty wide spec range.
Now, before we dive into benchmarking the A750, let's go ahead and talk about some of the key specs you need to know. First up, this graphics card does come with 8 GB of GDDR6 memory. Again, it launched at a price point of $289. So within 2 years, we have saved a ton of money on this graphics card. And this being an ASRock model instead of the Founders Edition card that they did sell originally makes it a much more affordable option. It is a PCI 4.0 by 16 card. And in terms of relative performance, it performs similarly to an RTX 3060 12 gig, which again is not much slower than RTX 4060 when you minus all the stuff that NVIDIA offers in terms of DLSS technology. But long story short, at $199, it's delivering a lot of value here, but it is still an Intel GPU. It is still not perfect. Intel and AMD have years on years on years advantage versus Intel when it comes to making GPUs optimized for games, but let's see how much better it actually is. Let's go ahead and talk about this test bench real quick and then dive into some games to push this thing to its limits.
To go over the specs of the test bench, we have the Ryzen 7 7700X that is an 8-core 16-thread with a large tower cooler cooling it. We also have 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM at 6000 MHz in dual channel. This test bench is packed with storage as well with a 4TB Lexar Gen 4 NVMe SSD. We have an Asus ROG Strix B650 Wi-Fi motherboard. We have a 1200 watt 80 plus gold fully modular power supply, all inside of a pretty high airflow full ATX case. So now that we talked about the test bench and the GPU, we're gonna go ahead and put them together and then test some games.
In perfect harmony.
Alright guys, now that we've finished benchmarking the Arc A750 on our test bench, let's go ahead and dive into the results and see if it actually makes sense for you at home to pick one up for your next gaming PC build. Now the games we decided to test are as follows. We have Cyberpunk, Black Myth Wukong, Ghost of Tsushima, Helldivers 2, Call of Duty Warzone, and of course Fortnite. Now first up, in a game like Cyberpunk at 1080p high settings with no upscaling, we're going for straight raw performance here. We got an average of 77 FPS, a minimum of 69, and a max of 90. Really cool to see on 1080p high settings getting over a 60 FPS experience in a demanding game like Cyberpunk. Realistically, this means you could go 1440p with some sort of upscaling and have pretty decent results, at least 60 FPS with this GPU. But again, with all the benchmarks in today's video, it does depend on what CPU you pair with the graphics card. In this video, we are using a Ryzen 7 7700, but realistically, I think an ideal pairing for this graphics card would be something like, let's say, a used Ryzen 5 3600, Ryzen 5 5600, or on the Intel side of things, like a 12600K i5 12400. Honestly, you'll probably see similar results if you go that route, but if you do go much more budget, like an i3 12100, you might experience more bottlenecks. Next up, another demanding game, Black Myth Wukong, 1080p high settings, and we are using Intel's upscaling tech for this one, XESS technology, and we got some not great results actually. We got an average of 48 FPS, a max of 57, a minimum of 21. This was a really weird one for me, 1080p high settings with upscaling getting less than 60 FPS on this almost $200 GPU. Again, this is probably another one of those Intel's gonna Intel types of things, and just so you guys know, we do have resizable bar on for all the benchmarks in today's video, so do keep that in mind. So again, driver optimization might make this one a little bit better. I know they released a game ready driver for this game, but still not a great showing so far, and probably 1080p medium settings is probably your best bet if you're going to play a game like Black Myth Wukong with this graphics card. It has all the horsepower there, I just think it has to be more driver optimization for this game. Next up is Ghost of Tsushima, 1080p medium settings, and this game ran great, 70 to 90 FPS, very, very smooth. If you're mainly playing AAA titles, I think the A750 is going to be a great GPU, with Black Myth Wukong being the exception, because right now it seems to be running a little bit hairy there, but that is a very demanding game, probably the most demanding game on the market right now. But it's cool to see when games like Ghost of Tsushima and Cyberpunk, we get a 60 FPS experience. And this GPU has come a massive way compared to what it was on launch, but it's really important to consider the fact that Intel is close to release new GPUs. The Battle Mage line of GPUs are getting hyped up right now. So really these price decreases with this GPU being around $199 right now is probably because of that, but it still might make sense for somebody at home who's building a budget PC and wants to get a graphics card that definitely outperforms its price tag compared to the rest of the new market. But yeah, it might be worth trying for you at home, especially if you're building a mid-range gaming PC. Next up, it's Helldivers 2, 1080p medium settings with quality upscale set, and we got a 60 plus FPS experience. Once again, another AAA title that has no problem running on the A750. And I really think when it comes to Intel Arc cards, the A750 is the sweet spot. The A770 sometimes goes on sale for around the same price as this GPU, and if that's the case, I would definitely recommend you pick that card up instead to get the most maximum performance out of Intel Arc. But I really think the A750 is probably the top of the line that I would recommend for people, with the A580 being the budget option if you want to save a little bit more money like we did in our $500 PC build guide. But if you make some optimizations here, you could probably fit an A750 into a $500 PC, and that would just be insane price performance, let alone any of the issues that Intel has. The performance you're going to be getting is really solid. Now let's dive into Call of Duty Warzone, 1080p balance preset. We got 80 to 90 FPS. Not bad, not a super high refresh rate experience on balance that I would have expected to get with a GPU at this price point, but 80 to 90 FPS is still pretty good. This is probably a good time for me to point out the power draw of this GPU. It is a little ridiculous that Intel Arc is pulling way more power than its competition. The RX 6600 is a very power efficient GPU and performs very similar in some cases. The RX 6600 is a GPU that performs almost as powerful as this GPU, not as close. The 6600 is more comparable to the A580, but the A750 definitely pulls more power than something like the RTX 3060 or 4060 that it does compared to, so that is something to keep in mind if you are building a PC with this graphics card. And lastly, of course, we got to test Fortnite, DX12 performance settings, far view distance, low textures across the board, and we got an average of 144 plus FPS. Disclaimer once again, if we are testing Fortnite, it is a very CPU bound game. We try to run DX12 so you can actually see the GPU usage pinging at 100% instead of running performance mode, but your CPU does vary a lot when it comes to performance settings in Fortnite. So all in all, I think the A750 is in a really good spot right now. If you can find it on sale for $199 or a little bit less, and you're building a, let's say at most $650 gaming PC or less, this is the GPU I definitely consider if you're willing to put up with some of the issues that Arc has to offer, but it is getting significantly better, and that's really all I can say about Intel Arc GPUs, is that over time you're just going to get more and more performance, and I'm excited to see what the Battle Mage line of GPUs is going to look like from Intel, and hopefully they continue pushing this to where Intel can actually be a player at some point in the future, because right now with that 0% market share, they got a lot of ground to make up. But I'm excited to see another competitor in the space doing much better than they did on launch. So now we finished the benchmarking section of today's video. Let's bring Jackson back in here, wrap this video up real quick.
So we tested this GPU in quite a few games, and of course the games that we tested it in, we had pretty good confidence they were going to do well, and at 1080p, they did a really good job. We were getting over 60 FPS, and of course, this graphics card can be used for high refresh rate gaming, especially in those esports titles with the right CPU pairing, but then in something like Black Myth Wukong, we got a little bit lower results.
Yeah, that's a game that is newer. It did have a game-ready driver, so maybe just 1080p high settings is not ideal for this graphics card in this game. It is a very demanding title, more demanding than any other game we tested in today's video, so it could just be that. But all in all, the A750 at $199, if you're somebody who's willing to put up with the slight issues you will have, there's always going to be hiccups. But in terms of the long-term driver support of this GPU, you're going to have several more years with improvements. And again, it's already aged like fine wine. It's only going to get any better. Hopefully, that's what we hope for with Intel GPUs, and with new Intel GPUs coming to the market. We hope this one will still get the same love. But hey, $199, good price, and you should shop for it using the link down below. It's an affiliate link, and it will help us out. Let us know what you think of the Intel Arc A750. Are you getting closer to buying an Intel Arc GPU? Are you still on the fence? Let us know in the comments down below, and what is holding you back from buying an Arc GPU?
And as always, we hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, check out our other two YouTube channels and also our twitch.tv/ToastyBros. And do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
So this GPU right here will be available in a PCBros.tech gaming PC, and our shipping is faster than ever now.
It's fast AF, boy. Buy a PC at PCBros.tech. Use code ToastyBros on checkout and save 3% of your next purchase. I ran over there and ran back. You want me to do it again? Just like our shipping at PC Bros. See you guys later. Goodbye.